আসসালামু আলাইকুম ইয়ে মহসিনা, আনিকা, সবাই ভালো আছি তো?
আসসালামু আলাইকুম স্যার।
সবাই ভালো না?
আসসালামু আলাইকুম স্যার, ঈদ মুবারক স্যার, কেমন আছেন?
হ্যাঁ, ঈদ মোবারক। আমি একটু আর এক সেকশনে গেছিলাম, ওই জন্য একটু ইয়ে হয়ে গেছে। তো আবার অ্যাটেন্ডেন্স ভালোই দেখা যায়, আর একটু আসুক। আর
জি স্যার।
আমাদের পরম শ্রদ্ধেয় সিও স্যার আছেন, কাজেই শুরু করব আমরা 2-4 মিনিট পরে। এখন জাস্ট 7:30 হয়তো। আচ্ছা, একটু আমি দু একটা প্রয়োজনীয় কথা বলে নেই। সেটা হচ্ছে কি যে এক্সামিনেশন ইজ নিয়ার বাই, কাছাকাছি, লুকিং এট দ্য ডোর। 25 তারিখ পরীক্ষা হবেই, কাজে এ ধরনের চিন্তা না করি পরীক্ষা পিছাবে অথবা কিছু হবে এ ধরনের না, এদিকে না যাই। শিডিউল যেটা সার্টিফিকেট লেভেল ভেরি সুন, হয়তো এ সপ্তাহে অথবা রবিবারের ওদিকে হয়তো হয়ে যাবে, সময় আছে। কাজে এত ইয়ে করার দরকার নেই। শিফটিং অনুসারে বিভিন্ন স্লট বলে করে করে পরীক্ষা নেওয়া হবে। ভেন্যু আমাদের এখানেই, আমরা সুন্দর করে আয়োজন করেছি। এখনো প্রায় সব শেষের দিকে, সিট প্ল্যান ইয়ে, কাজেই উই ক্যান রেডি টু সিট ফর দ্য এক্সাম। এই জন্য পরীক্ষা দিব, যে ইয়েতে আমরা ইয়ে করেছি, মান মানসিকতা। এবার ক্লাস চলছে, একটু হয়তো টেনে নিব আমরা। সরি, 23 তারিখ পর্যন্ত আমরা হয়তো ক্লাস রাখবো, আর 2 দিন ছেড়ে দেবো। কাজে ওইভাবে আর ম্যাক্সিমামই সাবজেক্ট ওয়াইজ পরীক্ষা দিচ্ছেন। দেন যেটা ইউ হ্যাভ অলরেডি টেকেন ডিসিশনস বাই ইউর সেলফ অর ওন সেলফ, কাজেই আপনার নিজের ইয়েতে আপনারা যেটা দিচ্ছেন দেন, এখানে আমরা কিছু না বলি। বাট পরীক্ষায় যত বেশি পেয়ার হওয়া যাবে সাবজেক্ট ওয়াইজ, তত হয়তো মঙ্গল। এই আর আরেকটা বিষয় যেটা বললি যে ইনস্টিটিউট থেকেই আপনাদের প্রয়োজনীয় যে সকল অ্যাডমিট কার্ড বলি এগুলি, এগুলো যথাসময়ে প্রেরণ করা হবে। কাজেই এ বিষয়ে অতিরিক্ত চিন্তার প্রয়োজন নাই, বা এভাবে আমরা চিন্তা ভাবনা না রাখি। And if you find any problem, please communicate with us.
স্যার পরীক্ষা কি হবে স্যার? এটা কি কনফার্ম স্যার 25 তারিখ?
এক কথা আমরা না বলে মোবারক, অলরেডি আমি বলে দিছি, পরে মনে হয় আসছেন।
না না স্যার, আসলে ব্যাপারটা হচ্ছে কি, ওই যে আমাদের ছুটিতে এখন অ্যাপ্রুভ করতে পারিনি স্যার। যেহেতু যদি 25 তারিখে পরীক্ষা হয়, তাহলে আমাদের তো আগে থেকে ছুটিটা গণনা করতে হবে স্যার। আর বলতেছে স্যার যে সাবজেক্ট ওয়াইজ ছুটি দেয় নাই।
শোনেন আগে কথা, আমি তো জানি আপনারটা। As and when you will also see or find of your schedule, then you take your leave. এই আপনার ফার্ম তো আর বহু দূরে না, এই জন্য আপনি শিডিউল দেখে নেবেন। কেন বলি, এটা স্লট হয়, ছাত্র কতজন, কোথায় বসাতে হবে, একদিনে এক পরীক্ষা হবে, সকাল 10টা থেকে শুরু হবে, আপনার পরীক্ষা 2 ঘন্টা, কোনোটা 2.5 ঘন্টা, এইভাবে চলবে। তো এই জন্য আপনাকে দেখতে হবে। এই জন্য আপনি একটু ধৈর্য ধরেন, কিপ পেটেন্স, দেখে আপনি নিবেন। কারণ আপনার দেখা গেল স্লটে আপনার সকালে, আপনি বিকালে হয়তো ফ্রিও থাকতে পারেন। তো এই জন্য একটু ওয়েট করেন। আর এগুলো প্রফেশনাল, বিশেষ করে আমাদের এটাতে বলি সার্টিফিকেট লেভেল, এটা রুটিন আপনার করতে হলে একটু রিজনেবল হয়ে এবং বুঝে সুঝে করতে হয়। এটা তো প্রফেশনাল অ্যাডভান্স না যে একবারে করে দিল। যেমন ধরেন অডিট অ্যান্ড অ্যাসুরেন্সে আপনি অ্যাসুরেন্সে পরীক্ষা দিবেন, অথবা আজকের ট্যাক্সেশনে দেখা গেল 3000 ছাত্র, এটাকে আপনার স্লট করে করে করতে হবে। এই জন্য একটু সময় সাপেক্ষ, এবং সেই সিকোয়েন্সটা একটু কাছাকাছি আসলে করা হবে। তো কাজেই আজকে তারিখ হচ্ছে 13 তারিখ। এত চিন্তার কারণ।
আসসালামু আলাইকুম স্যার, শুক্রবারের ক্লাসটা 9টা থেকে 12টা, তারপর 3টা থেকে 6টা।
একদিন একটু কষ্ট করতে হবে। এনায়েত, আমি বলি একটু, আমরা যা করেছি একদিনই তো, শুক্রবারে তো বেশি দিন নাই, 25 তারিখ পরীক্ষা। এই জন্য মেনে নেন, এটার ইন্টারেস্ট এত কিছু করা যাবে না দাদা।
অ্যাটেনশন দেওয়া তো স্যার অনেক কষ্ট স্যার, বুঝছেন?
আপনি তো পরীক্ষায় দিবেন একটা দুটো, এত টেনশন কেন? আপনি কয়টা সাবজেক্ট এনরোল করছেন দাদা? আমি একটু বিনয়ের সাথে বলি, কয়টা এনরোল করছেন, মানে পরীক্ষা দিবেন কয়টা বলেন? হ্যাঁ, তো এইগুলো কি বলেন এগুলো? You should have to also respond with the reasonably. or the, I think, logical sequences, my dear. 3টা দিবেন পরীক্ষা, আর আপনার ওই একদিনই একটা ক্লাস বেশি শুক্রবারে যেহেতু পরীক্ষা আমরা গ্রেটার ইন্টারেস্টে দিলাম, আপনি সব সময় নষ্ট করতেছেন কেন? আপাতত রাখি এই জায়গায়। আপনারা যেহেতু চয়েজিং, বাই চয়েজিং yourself you are also sit for the exam, my dear. আমরা আপনাদের জন্য কাজ করি, বুঝতে হবে। প্রতি শুক্রবারে আপনি 2টো সেশন করেছেন, একটা সেশন শুধুমাত্র পরীক্ষা 25 তারিখ, এই জন্য দেওয়া হলো। তো এগুলো কেন ইরিজিটেবল কথাবার্তা বলি আমরা? যেটা বৃহত্তর স্বার্থ সেটা চিন্তা করতে হবে। তো আপাতত থাক, এই কারণ আমরা হয়তো 22-23-এ ছেড়ে দিব আপনাদের শিডিউল শেষ করে, কারণ পরীক্ষার জন্য মিনিমাম 2 দিন তো করতে হবে আপনাকে। এই কারণে সেটা করা জনাব এনায়েত, ইচ্ছা করে নয়। তো এই গেল। আর যেটা বলি ক্যাপ্টেনকে, এখানে আমি আর বেশি যাব না, স্যারকে আমরা ছেড়ে দেব।
ওয়াকিল স্যার।
ওয়াকিল,
জি স্যার।
you will also discuss with your classmates, my dear. You are very
জি স্যার।
talented guy. হ্যাঁ, আমার যতদূর ধারণা ওয়াকিল অত্যন্ত সমঝদার এবং ভালো। এই জন্য কিছু কিছু ছাত্র যারা দেখা যায় যে হয়তো একটা দুটো এনরোল করছে করে হয়তো কিন্তু গেটার ইন্টারেস্টে আমাদের অনেক কিছু বিবেচনা করতে হবে ভাই ওয়াকিল সহ অন্যান্য ভাই বোনেরা। এই জন্য পরীক্ষার আগে 2-একটা সেশন যদি আপনার এক্সট্রা হিসেবে আসে, এগুলো মেনে নেন। আপনাদের গেটার আমরা এখানে কাজ করি ওই আলোকে বললাম, ফর দ্য বেটারমেন্ট অল অফ ইউ। ক্লাস না করলে এন্ট্রি লেভেলে আপনাদের ওইভাবে পরীক্ষা দেওয়া যাবে না, শেষ করে ফেলি সব। এই এক গেল। আর দ্বিতীয়ত, তো এখন এগুলো থাক, পরে আবার কথা বলা যাবে, একদিনে সব নয়। ওয়াকিল, সেটা হলো যে টুডে 5th সেশন,
জি স্যার।
would be contributed by our most respected our sir, and including you also, আমাদের শ্রদ্ধাভাজন সিও স্যারের। তো এটা একটু দেখে নিব, আমরা সামনে রাখবো। আর স্যার যেহেতু কষ্ট করে নিয়েও আপনার ট্যাক্সেশনটা আপগ্রেড করে দিলেন, এই জন্য আমাদের টু ইনহ্যান্স অফ ইউর ইংলিশ ভার্সন, আই থিঙ্ক কমিউনিকেশনসটা বেড়ে গেল। এই জন্য স্যারের প্রতি এমনি বিনত থাকি, আমরা রেসপন্স করি সেশনটাতে। আর যতদূর পারা যায় আপনারা শিখে নেন। and we think that you will have to also sit once in the exam and you will get success thereof too. কাজেই পরীক্ষা একবারই দিব, যে ক্লাসগুলো আমরা করেছি করবো এবং সেভাবে করবো। My dear very এনায়েত, no problem, we are here. কোনো যদি আরো কথা বলার থাকে আমাকে ফোন করেন, আমার সাথে যোগাযোগ করেন, আমরা সবাই আছি, হেল্প করবো, অসুবিধা নেই। এই গেল। আর মনে হয় কথা আর এমনি ওয়াকিল কিছু বলার আছে কিনা? ওইবার রিপ্রেজেন্টেটিভ ওয়াকিল আমাকে
স্যার আমাদের পক্ষ থেকে কোনো সমস্যা নেই স্যার, সব ঠিকই আছে স্যার।
একটু ওই ছাত্রদের সাথে, যখন আমরা তো এমনিতে একটা লার্জেস্ট গ্যাদারিং বা শুটফুল ফর ক্লাসের সিকোয়েন্সে এসে সিচুয়েশনে এসে আমরা ক্লাস শুরু করি, এই ফাঁকে একটু কথাবার্তা বলেন। যেমন এনায়েত হয়তো বুঝতে পারে নাই বা জানে না জিনিসটা, এই জন্য ওভাবে হয়তো সে বলেছে। কারণ 2.5 মাস প্রায় এই ক্লাসের ভিতরে একদিন যদি একটা সেশন বেশি হয় তাহলে এত কিছু না। কারণ 3টা সেশন তো কোনোদিনই হয়নি, একটা শুক্রবারে দিলাম কেন? চেষ্টা করবো 22-এর ভিতরে সব কমপ্লিট করার জন্য। আর পার্সোনাল স্টাডির দরকার আছে, 2 দিন যদি পড়ে না পড়েই ব্রেক না দিয়ে পরীক্ষা ভালো দেওয়া যাবে না ভাই বোনেরা, দাদারা। তো থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ। আমি 7:40-এ দিয়ে দিই স্যারকে, আর মধ্যে ক্লাস করি। আর দেখা হবে, কথা হবে। and any problem, email is open, even telephone, no problem. আমার মোবাইলে তো আমারটা একদম ম্যাস কমিউনিকেশন হয়ে গেছে, রাতে দিনে সবাই মোবাইল করে, আবার SMS দিচ্ছে, দেন, অসুবিধা। we are working for you, no problem. So thank you very much and please join the class. Sir, I'm your Halim sir, and also request you please come in videos and start your valuable session. Sir, please.
স্যার আপনার ফোন নাম্বারটা স্যার আমার কাছে নেই, আমি কি স্যার আপনার ফোন নাম্বারটা পেতে পারি?
ওকে
জি স্যার।
আরে তুমি ক্যাপ্টেন, তুমি দিয়ে দেবো
স্যার
আমি তোমারে কাল, এখন এইভাবে না বললে কালকে আমি দিয়ে দেবো, আমি ফোন করবো, ফোন ঠিক।
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
আপনার নাম্বারটা স্যার আমাদেরও দরকার স্যার, অনেক
দিয়ে দেবো, সব দিয়ে দেবো ওয়াকিলকে, আপনারা নিয়ে নিয়ে, নো প্রবলেম। স্যার I'm Halim, sir. Please, you may kindly come and also start the session, sir. শেষের ক্লাসগুলো ওয়াকিল সহ সবাইকে বলি সবাই ক্লাসে থাকবেন।
জি স্যার।
শেষের দিকের ক্লাস এগুলো some and short and also the I think gist basic এই জন্য রিভিউ সেশন বা এক্সট্রা সেশন যেগুলো এবং কনক্লুডিভ সেশন ভেরি হেল্পফুল ফর ইউ। এমন না ভাবি আমার ক্লাস অ্যাটেন্ডেন্স হয়ে গেছে আমি আর পরীক্ষা ক্লাস আর না করি, এরকম না ভাবি। ইয়ে স্যার তো আসছেন না?
জি স্যার এসছেন।
ঠিক আছে, দেখছিলাম ওনা একটু ইয়েতে আছে, আসতেছেন, আসুন। শনিবার থেকে your senior brothers exams will be started, প্রফেশনাল অ্যাডভান্স শুরু হচ্ছে, এই জন্য আপনাদেরও শুরু হবে 25 তারিখে। আর শিডিউল হয়তো সপ্তাহের কালকে তো লাস্ট ডে, অথবা রবিবারে সোমবারের ভিতরে হবেই। কাজেই নো প্লিজ কোনো ধরনের চিন্তার অবকাশ নাই। আর সব সাবজেক্ট পরীক্ষা দিতে হয়, আপনার এই একটা দুইটা করে পরীক্ষা দিলে কেমনে হবে ভাই বোনেরা? ক্লাস সবগুলো করে সবগুলো পরীক্ষা দিতে। This is certificate to just knowledge level, okay? It is not actually very tough for the board situation of education. No, it is very simple and just for idea, knowledge based, computer based online exam. And the students, that means examinees, are making good result, numerous number. Only pass করতেছে। কাজেই আমরা we expect such that you will also do that and go ahead. Sir, may I request, sir, you may kindly come and also start the session, sir, please. Ami sir, I'm your Halim sir, no problem, please. Thank you very much, sir. We are also seeing you, and you may kindly start the session. Today, 5th round, and the students are known and they are ready to join the sessions. Happy landing, sir. Thank you. I'm Biday Nilam, sir. Shuru kori. Adab, sir. Okay, please carry on with the
Ji,
good
sir.
advice of sir, my dear.
জি স্যার। জি স্যার। থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
Welcome. Allah Hafiz.
আল্লাহ হাফেজ স্যার। আসসালামু আলাইকুম। Good evening, sir.
Good evening to everybody. Welcome to this class. I had some classes with you before, hopefully. And a handout has been given to you through the student counseling department. I hope you got this handout. So the handout contains a number of questions. Around 20 questions are there. If you have gone through all the questions, I believe you would be able to answer the questions properly. So let us start with question number 1. What is the equality of sacrifice theory? How equity could be ensured by formulating a policy by the government of a particular country? So this is a question which is important for you to remember. the equality of sacrifice theory. This is with regard to the principles of taxation or maxims of taxation followed by a country, because a country actually adopts a taxation policy which could be said the best practices of various countries of the world, because we follow some of the best practices of different countries so that we can have desired result. So a country should have a policy which will yield benefit to the country. Yield benefit means there are some objectives of taxation. One of the objectives is to realize revenue. Another objective is to ensure equality or equity, whatever you call. So equality of sacrifice theory, it means that there should be equality, but what kind of equality is it? If you impose tax at the same amount for everybody, this is not equality. The same amount of tax means the same rate of tax applied to incomes. You might have an income of taka 10 lakhs, I might have an income of taka 5 lakhs, and another person might have an income of taka 1 lakh. So if all of us pay taxes at the rate of 10%, irrespective of our quantum of income, does it justify any equality or equity? It does not justify. So the rate should be a progressive rate of taxation. So progressive rate of taxation means it depends on your income. If your income is higher, your rate of tax would be higher. If your income is lower, your rate of tax would be lower. So that is the progressive theory of taxation. We follow it here up to a certain level in Bangladesh, but after a certain level, it is not followed. What is followed here after a certain level of income? It is proportional rate of taxation, which we follow here. So in Bangladesh, we can say that the system of taxation is a blend of progressive taxation and proportional taxation. But here, our policy, our question is equality of sacrifice theory. So let us suppose you have taka 100 and I have taka 20. So if the rate of tax is 10%, in both cases, that means in my case it is 10%, and in your case it is also 10%. So if it is 10% in my case, I have to pay taxes at the rate of 10%, taka 100, which means taka 10. And you have to pay taxes at the rate of 10% as well on taka 20, which is taka 2. So paying taxes at taka 2 and paying taxes at taka 10, although the rate of taxation is similar, but do they mean the same? Whether they are same?
No, sir, there is not same, sir. 2 taka for 20 is more than 10 taka is 100.
It's not same, because when I have got taka 100, giving away taka 10 out of that is not a very difficult problem for me. But while you have taka 20, giving away taka 20 out of that is a problem, because you have 20 taka and you are paying taka 2 out of that. This is difficult, or this is hard for you. But when I have got 100 taka, the paying taka 10 is not very difficult for me because I have got 90 taka after making a payment of taka 10 as tax. But whenever you are paying taka 2, it means that you have got taka 18 in your hand to spend. So there is a question of sacrifice here. How much amount you are sacrificing, out of which there is a question. And when similar rate applies to different incomes, it does not ensure that. So equality of sacrifice theory means that whenever you have more income, you have to pay taxes at a higher rate. Because when you are paying taxes at a higher rate, you might have some disposable income, which is similar to me, or which is near to me, or which are not very far from me. Meaning that if you have 100 taka and if you pay taxes at the rate of 30%, it means that you are paying taxes at 30 taka and you have got 70 as disposable income. But when I have got taka 20 and I am paying taxes at the rate of 10%, it means that I have got 18 taka in my hand to dispose it off. So if you had 90 taka in your hand, you could spend 90 taka after payment of the taxes. So difference would have been much higher. Taka 2 and taka, taka 10.
10, sir.
So difference lower, but disposable income is higher. So we have to reduce the disposable income among the people. So if we can reduce the disposable incomes among the people by taxing a higher amount of money for higher income people, in that case, the difference would be little bit narrower. And narrowing of income, that is narrowing of disposable income, it means that the equality of sacrifice theory is there. So we can just ensure equity or equality in terms of taxation by imposing or by applying higher rate and lower rate. So this was actually introduced by Mr. Adam Smith, who is called the father of economics. He was a Scottish economist, and he wrote a book. The title of the book was An Inquiry into the Causes and Nature of Wealth of Nations. So he also won the Nobel Prize that time. And his principles of taxation or maxims of taxation were accepted all over the globe. That means every country accepted those. They were the basic foundations of taxation theory. So every country follows those principles, and still now every country follows. But there are other principles which have been introduced by economists later on, but those principles are added to the founding principles. So these are sometimes called Smithian maxims or Smithian principles. And this gentleman, he wrote his book in 1789, and you can remember that 1789, that was not an age of modern era. So long time ago, and that time he actually laid out the principles of taxation for all the countries of the world. So in that way, we can answer this question that how equity could be ensured by formulating a policy by the government of a particular country. So it could be ensured by applying progressive rate of taxation to the people who are earning different levels of income. So if you say that PAYE, pay as you earn, that means if I earn more, I will pay more tax. If I earn less, I will pay less tax. So that way we can ensure it. That is the answer to question number 1. If you have any question to ask, you can ask me. Otherwise, we can move to question number 2. Question number 2 says a minor boy has been admitted to the benefits of partnership, whether this is legal from the viewpoint of law or not. Answer should be very straightforward, whether this is legal or not, or whether this is lawful or not. But in order to know about it, you have to know the Partnership Act, and also how the partnership is formed, etc., etc. So these are basic principles you have to know. What is a partnership? You first know it. So do you know the definition of partnership? This is a type of business. That means we know that business may be sole tradership, maybe partnership, or maybe company. But here we have said about partnership. Partnership means it is regulated by the Partnership Act 1932. The Partnership Act 1932 is still in existence in Bangladesh. So that means we have to follow the Partnership Act of 1932. So in that act, partnership has been defined as the relationship between the persons who have agreed to share the profits of a business carried on by all or any one of them acting for all. So in that definition, nothing has been said about the qualifications of the partners. So it must be 2 persons at least, and the maximum number of partners should be 20. So that is the characteristic of a partnership business. But we have to follow the Income Tax Ordinance 1984. So what the Income Tax Ordinance said about partnership, whether a minor could be admitted into the benefits of a partnership or not. So in order to answer this question, you have to go to section 243. What is said in section 2, subsection 43 of the Income Tax Ordinance 1984? So let us see what is said there. Section 2 means this is a section for definitions. All the definitions are incorporated under section 2 of the Income Tax Ordinance 1984. So section 2, subsection 43. Let us see what is said here. If you have the book, you can find it out. If you don't have the book, you can study the contents later on. Section 43, section 2, subsection 43 says, partner has the same meaning as assigned to it in the Partnership Act 1932 and includes a person who, being a minor, has been admitted to the benefits of partnership. So Income Tax Ordinance says that it is as like as the definition assigned to partnership in the Partnership Act 1932, and of course includes a person who, being a minor, has been admitted to the benefits of partnership. So a minor could be admitted to the benefits of partnership. That is the answer. So this is lawful, this is legal, and there is no problem with regard to that. Answer should be like that. Then come to the question number 3. A government servant, after his retirement, received from Provident Fund an amount of taka 1 crore, including interest thereon. But this amount is higher than the total contribution made by him and interest accrued thereon. What would be the legal treatment under the Income Tax Ordinance 1984? What is said here? A government servant, he has retired from service and he has received an amount from the Provident Fund. And how much he got from the Provident Fund? An amount of taka 1 crore. And this amount includes interest accrued thereon. So there are two things here. One is contribution to the Provident Fund and another is interest accrued thereon. So these two constitute the Provident Fund amount. That means the amount that the government servant received from that fund. So in the government system, employee must contribute to the fund and government does not contribute to the fund. So it means that the amount that will be received by the government servant after his retirement would be the total amount that he has contributed during his career to the fund, including the interest accrued thereon. So here this gentleman, he received 1 crore taka, but this amount is higher than the total contribution made by him and interest accrued thereon. So this amount does not constitute the contribution plus the interest, rather something different. So that figure has not been given, but we can assume a figure here. Let us suppose that the contribution to the fund is taka, say 60 lakhs, and interest accrued thereon was taka 30 lakhs. So total was taka 90 lakhs. But that gentleman has received taka 1 crore. So he has received an amount higher than the total of contribution and interest accrued thereon. So what is the amount? The higher amount, that means the amount is taka 10 lakh. So there is the difference between the two. So if he has received 10 lakh taka more than the contribution plus the interest accrued thereon, how would you treat it? Or what would be the legal treatment? And what kind of income will it be in case of the person concerned?
Sir, will it be included in income from other sources?
Yes, please repeat.
Sir, income from other sources?
Income from other sources? No, it's not income from other sources.
Sir, actually don't know the treatment.
Okay, so let us see the relevant section here. Section 2, subsection 50. What is said there? Section 2, subsection 50. Section 2, subsection 50 says about profit in lieu of salary. Profit in lieu of salary. What is said about profit in lieu of salary? There are two clauses here, clause A and clause B. In clause A, it has been said the amount of compensation due to or received by an associate from his employer at or in connection with the termination of or the modification of any terms and conditions relating to his employment. So when terms and conditions of employment have been changed or amended or have been amended by the employer, in that case, the concerned person might get a compensation money for that. So if he has received such a compensation money, then it could be treated as profit in lieu of salary. And again, clause B says, any payment due to or received by an associate from a provident fund or other fund, to the extent to which it does not consist of contributions by the associates and the interest on such contributions. So if you receive any payment from any fund, say from provident fund or from any other fund, to the extent to which it does not consist of contributions by the associate and the interest on such contributions. So you have received something else, an higher amount of money, in addition to the contribution made by you and also the interest accrued thereon. So as I gave you an example, that the person concerned, he received 1 crore taka, but actually his contribution to the provident fund plus interest
90 lakhs.
was taka 90 lakhs. So the difference money is 10 lakhs. So 10 lakhs he received additionally. And this 10 lakh taka would be treated as profit in lieu of salary. So this should be taxed and as profit in lieu of salary. Okay, so you have to remember that section 2, subsection 50, clause B should apply here. If you mention these 3 things, it is okay. The answer is correct. Number 4 question. Mr. X is a foreign citizen. He is staying in Bangladesh for business purposes. Can he be a resident of Bangladesh? If so, under which circumstances? There is a difference between a citizen and a resident. A resident who stays here for a number of years or for some months or for a certain period, by staying here, he can become a resident as per Income Tax Ordinance 1984. But in order to become a citizen, it's different. It is as per immigration law or domicile law. So that's different issue. Citizenship is quite different from residentship. So as per Income Tax Ordinance 1984, anybody could become a resident here in Bangladesh, irrespective of his being a local or a foreigner. So anybody who is a local person, he can be resident, and anybody who is a foreigner, he can also be a resident under certain conditions. So how to determine whether a person is a resident or not? We have said here that the person concerned is a foreigner, he is a foreign national. So he has got citizenship of a foreign country. But whether he could be treated as a resident in Bangladesh as well? The answer is, of course, yes. He could be treated as a resident And an individual could become a resident of an income year. It is always related to an income year. When he would become a resident, if he stays for a period of or for periods amounting in all to 182 days or more in an income year. This is one of the conditions. That means if a person stays in Bangladesh for a period of or for periods amounting in all to 182 days or more, then he becomes a resident. Otherwise, another condition also prevails. That condition is if he stays in Bangladesh for a period of or for periods amounting in all to 90 days or more in an income year, having previously been in Bangladesh for a period of 365 days or more during 4 years preceding that income year. So any of the two conditions he has to fulfill in order to become a resident. So you now understand how one can become a resident. If he is
Yes,
a
sir.
foreigner, no problem.
Yes. Yes, sir.
He can become a resident. If he is a local person, he can also become a resident, or he can also become a non-resident. Even he is a local person. That means if he does not stay here for 182 days at least or more during the income year, then, or if he stays 90 days or more in one income year, having previously been in Bangladesh for 365 days
65.
or more during 4 years preceding that income year. Under both circumstances, he can become a resident or non-resident. So this is under section 2, subsection 55. If you go to section 2, subsection 55, then you can get the answer. Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Then let us move to question number 5. The last salary of Mr. X was 82,000 taka per month. That means a basic salary. Mr. X was a government servant. At the time of his retirement, what would be the amount of gratuity he would be receiving from the government? What amount of gratuity is exempted from the payment of taxes? What would be his pension money per month? In this question, there are 3 problems, and you have to answer to 3 problems. First of all, you have to say that the basic salary of the retired government servant stood at 82,000, and you have to calculate the gratuity amount you would be receiving from the government. Gratuity amount means a one-time amount is paid to him in recognition to his service to the government. And another question is how much of the gratuity amount is exempted from payment of taxes. And then you have to calculate the pension money per month. That means since he is a government servant, he would be receiving a pension money every month. What would be the figure we would be receiving every month as pension money? So these are the questions you have to answer. So how to calculate that? First of all, you have to calculate the gratuity money, and a hint has been given there. hint is that his basic salary was 82,000 taka. So we have to find out 90% of this 82,000 taka. What is the figure? 90% of 82,000.
Sir, a yearly 8,85,600.
How much?
Sir, yearly 8,85,600.
So 90% of 82,000 taka comes to 73,800 taka. You have to find it out first. And afterwards, you have to divide it by 2. Divide it by 2. And the figure is 36,900 taka. So 36,900 taka. It is monthly pension. So there are two 36,900 taka. One is the pension money per month, and another should be treated as gratuity. And how to calculate the gratuity? This 36,900 taka has to be divided by 230. That is, you are receiving taka 230 per 1 taka. So 36,900 should be multiplied by 230, which is 84,87,000 taka. That is the gratuity figure that you would be given to you. Government will give it to you once for all. That means that is the figure that you will be getting once, and no other payment would be made by the government in terms of gratuity. So this is the gratuity figure. Whatever you want to do, you can invest it in any government instrument. You can put it in a bank, doing an FDR, or whatever you want to buy shares, securities, whatever. And now your question, I believe all the questions you have answered except one, the amount of gratuity which is exempted from the payment of taxes. So you have received a gratuity amount of 84,87,000. So this is of course exempted from tax because the maximum amount that is exempted from tax is taka 2 crores 50 lakhs. So if you have received 2 crores 50 lakhs taka from the government as gratuity money, that will be exempted from tax. So here it is less than that amount, hence it will also be exempted. So now I believe all the questions have been answered. Is it okay for you? You have now the calculation of gratuity money, the calculation of the pension money, and also you know the amount, maximum amount that is that is exempted from taxation. If you have no question up to now, then we move to question number 6. A trader entered into a contract with a farmer of Uzbekistan to supply cotton. The trader entered into this contract in order to guard against loss through future price fluctuations. For the purpose of fulfilling his contract to supply RMG to the EU, is it a speculation business? What is meant by speculation business? You have to know it first. Speculation business is a business which is done for a short time. As for example, you can buy some shares from the market, secondary market, and keep it for 15 days or 20 days or 1 month in order to sell it at a higher price. So this business involves a high risk because the price of the share could fall down or the price of the share could rise. So you are just taking a risk in order to make a profit. What kind of profit is it? The profit is speculation profit, which is also called capital gains. So this kind of business is called speculation business because you are not actually buying the goods for resale, or you are not buying raw materials in order to manufacture the final product and to sell it out ultimately to consumers or wholesalers or retailers, whatever they are. Rather, you are just keeping the product and you are not actually making delivery of the product physically. Whenever you are buying the shares, sometimes you do one thing, that is you just sell the scripts. Even you do not take the delivery of the goods, that means the shares. So as we said before, that it is a business which is sometimes a very short business or short period business, and you just want to make a speculative profit. That is by selling the shares or by selling the instruments at a higher price, if you find it like that. So here, the question is different. The question says that a trader in Bangladesh, he has come into an agreement with a farmer of Uzbekistan in order to receive a supply of cotton, in order to make sure that he can supply the ready-made garments to the European Union. And this contract has been signed in order to guard against losses for future price fluctuations. So what happens in business? It's usually found that there might be price fluctuations. Sometimes the cost of raw materials increases. That is, the price of raw materials increases if you are buying that raw material from another country. Even from your own country, if you buy raw materials, sometimes it might happen that the raw materials price would be higher before it was, say, 6 months ago, 1 year ago. What it was 6 months ago, 1 year ago, now it has increased because of many reasons. So in Bangladesh, a ready-made garment manufacturer, how does he manufacture his products? That is, ready-made garments. He actually uses yarn and cotton in order to manufacture the ready-made garments. So cotton is the raw materials that the ready-made garments manufacturers have to procure from other countries. Because in our country, only 2% of cotton out of total demand of the country is grown in Bangladesh. That is, we can grow 2% of the cotton required by the ready-made garment manufacturers in Bangladesh. So 98% of the cotton needed for ready-made garments is imported from other countries, especially from Uzbekistan, from India, from China, from USA, etc. So this gentleman, he has come into a contract with conditions that the farmer in Uzbekistan would continue to supply cotton to him, maybe for the next 1 year at a certain price. So the price will remain stable or it will be stagnant for 1 year, so that the manufacturer could produce the ready-made garments and supply to the European Union customers at the price he has agreed to supply at. That means, let us suppose the t-shirt per t-shirt price would be $5. So the costing has been done by the manufacturer, and he has found out that if I can sell the t-shirt at US $5, my cost of production would be $3. So how he calculated that? He calculated that because he would be able to take supply of the raw material, that is cotton, from the Uzbek farmer at a certain price. That means, say, $2. He would be supplying the cotton per kg at $2, say for example. And other costs would be included to that, and the total cost would be $3. And the manufacturer, that means the RMG exporter, he would be exporting the products at $5 per unit. That means he will make a profit of $2 per unit. So in order to guard against the loss, that means if there is a price fluctuation in the cotton, he cannot make the profit at $2 per piece. That is not possible because of the price fluctuations. So he has signed that agreement in order to guard against the loss, so that he might not incur a loss in future. So that is the way he is guarding against the losses of his business. So whether this is a speculation business or not, the question is this. The answer would be no, it's not a speculation business, because he has not bought the raw materials in order to sell it at a higher price, thinking of the price fluctuations, and he has not kept this for a shorter period, that is for 15 days or 1 month. He has not kept it for that. Rather, he has made an agreement for 1 year, and the agreement is very clear. He will receive the raw materials, that means import the raw materials from a trader in Uzbekistan, and afterwards he will sell his product to the European Union customers. So this is in order to guard against the loss, and hence this is not a speculation business. And you have to go to section 2, subsection 61 and clause A. If you want to find the answer to these questions, you have to go to section 2, subsection 61 and clause A. So here, speculation business has been defined by the Income Tax Ordinance 1984. Speculation business means business in which a contract for the purchase or sale of any commodity, including stocks and shares, is periodically or ultimately settled otherwise than by the actual delivery or transfer of the commodity or scripts, but does not include business in which, as I told you before, that sometimes the actual delivery of the good does not take place. Rather, it's just selling the scripts. but does not include business in which a contract in respect of raw materials or merchandise is entered into by a person in the course of his manufacturing or mercantile business to guard against loss through future price fluctuations for the purpose of fulfilling his other contracts for the actual delivery of the goods to be manufactured or the merchandise to be sold by him. So here it is very clear that the person concerned, he has entered into an agreement in respect of raw materials or merchandise. Even if merchandise, no problem. In the course of his manufacturing or mercantile business to guard against loss through future price fluctuations for the fulfilling of his other contract. For the fulfilling of his other contract means he will deliver ready-made garments to the customers of the European Union. So that is his other contract. And actual delivery will take place. That means physically the goods would be handed over to those customers. So this is for guarding against losses, which can take place through future price fluctuations. So this is not a speculation business. So you can say that under section 2, subsection 61 and clause A, this is not speculation business. That should be the answer. Do you need any break or not?
Sir, we can take a break from 8:40 to 9, sir.
Need break?
Sir, we can take the break after 8:40.
For how many minutes?
20 minutes, sir.
20 minutes from now or afterwards?
After 40, sir.
After?
After 8:40, sir.
8:40. Okay. No problem. Okay, then we move to next question. What is the legal point in exercise of power or jurisdiction by a successor officer? Successor officer means Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, while he takes over from another assessing officer. So that might be another Deputy Commissioner of Taxes or Assistant Commissioner of Taxes or Extra Assistant Commissioner of Taxes. And the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes takes over from him. So all these are actually assessing officers. Deputy Commissioner is also an assessing officer. Assistant Commissioner, he is also an assessing officer. Extra Assistant Commissioner, he is also an assessing officer. So all these three categories of officers are falling into the category of Deputy Commissioners of Taxes. So the definition says that the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes includes Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, Assistant Commissioner of Taxes, and Extra Assistant Commissioner of Taxes. So you can say that an Assistant Commissioner of Taxes is also a Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, or an Extra Assistant Commissioner of Taxes is also a Deputy Commissioner of Taxes by virtue of the powers conferred on them. So here, one Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, that means he is in charge of a circle, and he has been transferred. So since he has been transferred, the charge of the circle has been taken over by another Deputy Commissioner or another Assistant Commissioner. So what happens? What is the legal point in exercise of power or jurisdiction by a successor officer? So why it has been said like this? So who is the successor officer? Successor officer is the person who has taken over the charge of the circle. And who is the predecessor officer? Predecessor officer is the person who actually left the circle, just left the circle or made over the charge of the circle. So now legal questions sometimes arise. That means the person or the deputy commissioner who was in charge of the circle, he actually issued notice under section 79 or notice under section 83(1) or notice under section 80 in order to make an assessment of an SCC. So whenever such a notice has been issued by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes already, and afterwards he left the circle, then a new officer comes in. And now the question is whether the new officer can exercise his power as per the income tax ordinance from the stage at which the previous officer or the predecessor officer left the circle. That means the question is whether the notice under section 79 or the notice under section 83(1) would stand valid in case of the new officer, or whether he has to issue those notices afresh. Whether fresh notices have to be issued by him or not. That is the question. And what should be the answer? The new Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, he does not have to issue those notices which were issued by his predecessor. Again, he does not have to issue notices again. So when predecessor officer issued notices, those will stand valid. So he can start the proceeding from the point or from the stage at which the predecessor officer left. He will actually perform the remaining actions of proceeding. That means he will hear the SSC, he will examine the books of accounts. Those will be produced before him by the SSC, and then he will make the assessment under section 83(2). That means everything would be valid. Otherwise, if the SSC does not come before the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes for hearing, he can finalize the assessment under section 84. That means an ex parte assessment could be made by him. So this is the system, and answer could be obtained under section 7. That means if you look at the book, that is the Income Tax Ordinance 1984, you will see section 7 actually authorizes you not to issue further notice, which was actually issued by your predecessor officer. So you don't have to issue further notices. So in that section, authority so succeeding may continue the proceeding from the stage at which it was left by predecessor. So you can continue the proceeding from the stage at which your predecessor officer left. So you see section 7, you have been authorized by the Income Tax Ordinance 1984. So section 7 says exercise of jurisdiction by successor. Successor means the person who has come later. When in respect of any proceeding under this ordinance, an income tax authority is succeeded by another, the income tax authority so succeeding may continue the proceeding from the stage at which it was left by his predecessor. So here everything is clearly spelled out. So you can exercise the power of the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, taking into account all the actions taken by your predecessor officer as valid. So you have to remember that Section 7 gives you that power. Okay, then question number 8. If any company transfers after-tax profit to retained earnings or any other fund, what would be the treatment of this amount from the viewpoint of income tax? So whenever after-tax profit is transferred to a fund, it means that this is appropriation of profit. This is not an expense or charge or transfer in the profit and loss account from pre-tax profit. No, this is from after-tax profit. It means that this is an appropriation. You can do it in the profit and loss appropriation account whenever you are transferring some money to the general reserve fund or to any other fund, whatever it is. And if you just declare the dividend afterwards, it will be your retained earning or accumulated profit, whatever it is. So in terms of, payment of taxes, this is a profit which has been taxed already and you have paid off the taxes, and afterwards you have declared dividend in the annual general meeting of the company. So that's why this is your retained earnings. So this is legal and there is no problem with that. You can keep it in the company, you can capitalize it, whatever it is. So at the time of some provisions of the maintaining some provisions of the income tax ordinance. So for example, sometimes you will be asked to restrict your purchase of vehicles for a company, and there is a special provision there. Whenever you are buying some jeeps or cars, etc., for the company, you have to follow the restrictions. So we'll come to that point afterwards. But here the answer is after-tax profit, whenever you are transferring to the retained earning, it is okay, no problem. But if you haven't declared any dividend out of the after-tax profit, you can declare dividend anytime. But whenever you are running a loss, when the company is running a loss, still then you can declare dividend because of the reason that the company has to maintain its image, has to maintain its reputation. So that's why sometimes the company, even running at a loss, would declare dividend, but it has to be subject to the maintenance of amount of retained earning or accumulated profit. If you have accumulated profit to that amount or retained earning to that amount, that is, you are declaring a dividend of taka, say 1 crore, but in that year you ran a loss. So when you are declaring 1 crore taka as dividend, there should be an accumulated profit in the balance sheet or retained earning in the balance sheet up to that amount, that is 1 crore taka. If you have that amount of money, yes, you can declare the dividend. So I think this is also clear to you. As has been said earlier, that a break is needed. A break is needed from 8:40, so maybe you can just take a break for 15-20 minutes and then come back for the discussion.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Therefore, can we have the
কি আমার মা Okay, everybody back. Hello. Namaskar. Can we resume?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Please.
we can resume. We discussed up to question number 8. Now question number 9. Let us suppose that a medical equipment was used by a professor of medicine before 10 years. The cost of acquisition was 5 lakhs. Depreciation was calculated at 5% for each year on a straight line basis. Now this machine has been sold out to another person at 6 lakhs. What kind of profit may be calculated from this transaction? So a professor of medicine, he used one medical equipment before 10 years. That means he has been using it for 10 years. And now he has sold it out at 5 lakh, sorry, at 6 lakhs. But the acquisition price was 5 lakh. That means he bought it at 5 lakh 10 years ago. And depreciation was calculated in his books of accounts maintained by him at the rate of 5% for each year on a straight line basis. So since the price of the equipment was 5 lakhs taka and depreciation was charged at 5%, it means that every year he charged 25,000 taka. So after 10 years now, the written down value has come down to
2,50,000, sir.
2,50,000. And that machinery, he has decided to sell it out, and he has already sold it out at 6 lakhs. Maybe he will replace it with a new advanced machine or equipment. And since the sale price is 6 lakh taka at this moment, this is called sale proceed. And the difference between the sale price and the written down value would be treated as income. So what is the income? 6 lakhs minus 2,50,000.
3,50,000, sir.
3,50,000 taka would be the income. So what kind of profit is it? Is it a business profit or it is something else? First of all, we have to say that profit has risen out of the transaction because the sale proceed is more or higher than the written down value. So we know that if the sale proceed exceeds the written down value, it means there is a profit. And another question arises whether this profit is business profit or it is something else. So business profit you will calculate under section 28. So whenever you do a business, the profit calculated from the business would be under section 28. So now we have to think of it, whether this is a business profit or not. When I am operating a business, definitely income from that business is business profit. But sometimes there might be non-operating profit. So whenever I am earning from the business, it means it's an operating profit. And there might be some profit which will be not operating, that is non-operative profit or non-operating profit. So for example, the income from FDR, fixed deposit receipt. If I have invested some money in FDR and I earn some interest, It means that that is not a business profit, that is not an operating profit, rather that is a non-operating profit, but it will be calculated at the same time of calculation of the business profit. So here also we have to calculate business profit and maybe something else. So how to calculate that? You have to go to section 19, subsection 16. So what section 19, subsection 16 says? So when a building, machinery, plant, etc. has been used by the business, and afterwards it is sold out. In that case, the sale proceed would be taken into account at the time of determining the profit of the business. And if the sale proceed exceeds the written down value, so much of the excess as does not exceed the difference between the original cost and the written down value shall be deemed to be profit. So what does it mean? The sale proceed exceeds the written down value. So here the sale proceed is 6 lakh taka and written down value is taka 2,50,000. So the sale proceed has exceeded the written down value by taka 3,50,000, and that 3,50,000 taka is the total profit. So here it is also said that so much of the profit as does not exceed the difference between the original cost and the written down value. What is the original cost here? Original cost is 5 lakh taka and written down value is 2,50,000 taka. So up to that, the difference between the two, 5 lakh taka and 2,50,000 taka, the difference money is 2,50,000, and up to that amount, it would be treated as profit from business. So we have calculated the profit at taka 3,50,000, and we also know that so much of the profit as does not exceed the difference between the original cost and the written down value, which is taka 2,50,000. So out of taka 3,50,000, 2,50,000 would be treated as profit. That is profit from business. And the rest 1 lakh taka. That 1 lakh taka would be treated as income from what? Would be treated as income from capital gain. So the full amount of profit, that is 3,50,000 taka, would not be treated as business income. Rather, it would be treated as total profit, but 2,50,000 to be treated as income from business, and 1 lakh taka would be treated as income from capital gains under section 31, read with section 1916. Is it clear?
Will you repeat the why 3,50,000 total amount business current? Why we didn't consider it as business income, sir?
Okay, so total profit you understand, no?
Yes, sir. 3,50,000.
The sale proceed and written down below. Difference between the two. This is 3,50,000 and this is the total profit. But as per legal provision, that is as per provision of the subsection, it cannot be treated as business profit. Cannot be treated means the full amount cannot be treated as business profit. But what the section says, the sale proceeds, so much of the excess, when the sale proceeds exceeds the written down value, then said so much of the excess as does not exceed the difference between the original cost and the written down value. So now you have to calculate the difference between the sale proceed original cost and the original cost and the written down value. So what is the original cost?
5 lakh, sir.
5 lakh, and written down value is 2,50,000. So difference between the two is 2,50,000.
Yes.
So whatever profit you have made, you cannot take into account the full amount as business profit, because you can only consider up to the difference between the original cost and the written down value to be business profit. And what about the rest amount then? A question generally
Capital gain.
comes. So out of that 3,50,000 taka, if you say that 2,50,000 taka, that means the difference between the original cost and the written down value, which is taka 2,50,000, up to that amount, it should be treated as business profit. So what about the rest 1 lakh?
Capital gain, sir.
That should be capital gain, and that should be treated separately. That is under section 31. And 2,50,000 to be treated as profit under section 28. So there should be 2 sections you have to consider. That means the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes should treat it differently. So is it okay for you?
Yes, sir. Okay.
All right. Then. Question number 10. The pharmacy of Mr. X fell into the area of municipality, which was illegally constructed. The question illegally instructed or legally instructed, that does not matter here. Now it has been demolished by the municipal corporation and compensation money was received from municipal corporation. Let us suppose that Mr. X, he was running a pharmacy and that has fallen into the area of the municipality. Maybe municipality now decided to widen the roads or streets. So it has demolished the pharmacy. Because of the demolition of the pharmacy, Mr. X, he received some compensation money from the municipality. The compensation money amounted to taka 10 lakh. The cost of the construction of the pharmacy was taka 8 lakh because it was constructed maybe a number of years ago. So that time it's a small pharmacy and that did not cost much because it was 1-story. Generally what happens in case of a pharmacy. And written down value at the time of demolishment was taka 6 lakhs. Because this was constructed at taka 8 lakh, so that was the acquisition price, we can say. And written down value because the gentleman was charging depreciation in the profit and loss account. So he charged depreciation 2 lakh taka. Sorry, written down value, yes, was 6 lakh. So depreciation charged was taka 2 lakh. That is okay. Now you have been asked to calculate profit from the transaction from the viewpoint of income tax.
Sir, 2 lakh taka, sir, income profit, sir, here.
So it has been here the compensation money is 10 lakh taka. You see, yes, compensation money. So you should treat it as the sale proceed. It is not sale proceed, rather this is the compensation money, but that is the receipt received by you. So 10 lakh taka is your sale proceed, let us suppose, or compensation money. And then the written down value is taka 6 lakhs. So the difference between the two is taka 4 lakh. So that is the profit. But here you have another information, and that information is the cost of construction of the pharmacy was taka 8 lakh. So now what should you do? So much of the excess as does not exceed the difference between the original cost and the written down value. That formula you have to apply here. So original cost, that is 8 lakh taka, construction price, and written down value is taka 6 lakhs. So difference between the two is taka 2 lakh. So your profit was calculated at taka 4 lakh. However, so much of the excess as does not exceed the difference between the original cost and the written down value, which is taka 2 lakh. So your profit, business profit, should be up to taka 2 lakh.
Yes, sir.
And another 2 lakh taka that should be treated
Capital gain.
as the capital gain under section 31. You understand what I mean?
Yes, sir.
But here, one point, I could change the problem here. Change the problem means when demolishment took place, say the pharmacy was demolished, I could say that, okay, scrap value of the materials demolished, that earned him taka 1 lakh. That means the bricks, the rods, etc. They were sold out by Mr. X, and he earned an amount of taka 1 lakh. Compensation money was taka 10 lakh. His construction price was taka 8 lakh. Written down value was taka 6 lakhs. In that case, your calculation would have been different. And you could refer to 1918, section 19, subsection 18. What is that? Here also, the sale proceed or the compensation money, when exceeds the written down value, there should be a profit. But so much of the excess as it does not exceed the difference between the original cost and the written down value less the scrap value. So here, written down value would be deducted by taka 1 lakh, that is the scrap value. So if the written down value is taka 6 lakh and scrap value is taka 1 lakh, so you have to deduct 1 lakh from 6 lakh. So it should be 5 lakh taka. The original cost is 8 lakh taka, and you should find out the difference between 5 lakh as we have calculated before and 8 lakh, that means 3 lakh taka. So your business profit should be up to taka 3 lakh. And since you have made a profit of taka 4 lakh, your capital gain would have been taka 1 lakh, not 2 lakh. So if I say it like that, or if I incorporated another problem like that, so you could calculate it in a different way. Referring to section 1918. Am I clear to you or not?
Sir, I am asking about the 1 lakh. Is it added to acquisition rate?
1 lakh, I have said that this is a scrap value. Scrap value means sometimes you see the building is demolished. So there are the materials, there are bricks, rods, etc. So those materials could have been sold by the SSC, could have been sold by Mr. X. In that case, there was an extra earning. So what we calculated before, the calculation would be a little bit different. Here also, the sale proceed or the compensation money that you received, which was taka 10 lakh, you have to deduct the written down value. Written down value is 6 lakhs. So if you deduct 6 lakh from 10 lakh, it means that your total profit is taka 4 lakh. But whatever has been said before, so much of the excess as does not exceed the difference between the original cost and the written down value less the scrap value, whenever you have received the scrap value. So as I told you, that 1 lakh taka has been received as a scrap value. So that 1 lakh taka has to be deducted from the written down value. Written down value is 6 lakh. So if you deduct 1 lakh, it would be 5 lakh. So you should find out the difference
5
between
lakh.
5 lakh
3
and
lakhs.
the original cost 8 lakh. So now the difference is 3 lakh. So this 3 lakh taka would be treated as your business profit, but your total profit is taka 4 lakh. So what about the rest amount? Rest amount is 1 lakh taka, and that should be capital gain. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, sir.
Good. Okay then, so let us move to question number 11. ABC company has got a paid up capital of taka 1 crore and accumulated profit of taka 20 lakhs. It has purchased 2 jeeps amounting to taka 80 lakhs. What would be the treatment from the viewpoint of income tax? That is the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes. How would he treat it? So first you have to calculate the paid up capital 1 crore plus the accumulated profit 20 lakhs. So it is in all 1 crore 20 lakh. That's the figure. And you have to calculate 10% of this amount. 10% of this amount is 12 lakh. 10% of paid up capital plus accumulated profit. So 1 crore 20 lakhs, 10% of this amount, that is 12 lakh. Now you have to find out the cost of the jeeps, which is 80 lakhs taka. So 80 lakhs taka minus 12 lakh taka, which is 68 lakhs taka. So 50% of this amount should be treated as income. That is 34 lakhs taka would be treated as income. You understand what I mean? So there is a restriction on the purchase of jeeps or motor cars for the company. And that's why you may be penalized by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes. So let us suppose let us go to section 1927 in order to find it out what is said there. Section 19 subsection 27. It is said in section 19 subsection 27, when an SSC being a company purchases directly or on hire one or more motor car or jeep, and the value of any motor car or jeep exceeds 10% of its paid up capital together with reserve and accumulated profit, then 50% of the amount that exceeds such 10% of the paid up capital together with reserve and accumulated profit shall be deemed to be the income of such SSC for that income year, classifiable under the head income from other sources under section 33. It would not be treated as a business income, rather it would be treated as an income from other source. So you understand the language, what is said here? You have to add up the paid up capital plus the accumulated profit, which is 1 crore 20 lakhs here, and 10% of that amount has to be calculated, which is 12 lakhs taka. Now we have to find out the cost of the jeeps, that is 80 lakhs taka. So the cost of the jeeps has exceeded 10% of the paid up capital plus accumulated profit by taka 68 lakhs. So 50% of this amount, 50% of 68 lakhs, which is 34 lakhs taka, that would be treated as income from other source under section 33, read with section 1927. So that is the treatment that the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes will do at the time of assessment. Is it okay?
Sir, will you please repeat the figures? Amounting figures, sir.
Figures, I have to repeat
Yes.
it.
Yes, sir.
So in the problem, it has been said the paid up capital is taka 1 crore and accumulated profit taka 20 lakhs. So what the section says? Section says where an SSC being a company, it must be a company. The SSC must be a company, not an individual, mind it. Purchases directly or on hire one or more motor car or jeep, and the value of any motor car or jeep exceeds 10% of its paid up capital plus accumulated profit. So first you have to calculate the cost of the jeeps. Cost of the jeeps is 80 lakh taka. And when it exceeds 10% of the paid up capital plus accumulated profit. So what is the paid up capital and accumulated profit? Paid up capital is 1 crore and accumulated profit is 20 lakhs.
20 lakhs.
So 1 crore 20 lakhs. So 10% of this amount, how much? 12 lakhs.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So 12 lakhs taka, and the cost of the jeeps is 80 lakhs taka. So the cost of the jeeps must exceed this 10%. The 10% is 12 lakhs. So
Yes.
difference between 80 lakh and 12 lakh, that is 68 lakhs.
Yes, sir.
So 50% of this amount, 50% of this amount means 34 lakhs. That means 68 lakhs, it's 50%, 34 lakhs.
Yes,
So
sir.
that 34 lakh taka would be treated as income from other source under section 33. It is okay?
Yes, sir.
Good. All right, then go to question number 12. Mr. X purchased construction materials for construction of 10-storied building worth taka 40 lakhs on credit from a company in Nawapur Road, Dhaka. The amount of taka 40 lakhs has been unpaid for the last 3 years. What would be the treatment from the viewpoint of income tax? That means the problem says Mr. X, he constructed one building, and for that construction, he purchased raw materials. Raw materials mean building materials. You can say building materials worth taka 40 lakhs from a company located in Nawapur Road, Dhaka. And he bought the materials on credit. 40 lakhs taka, that was on credit. Now, the amount of 40 lakhs has been unpaid, has remained unpaid for the last 3 years. What would be the treatment from the viewpoint of income tax? So when it remained unpaid for 3 years, then what should be the treatment to be made by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes at the time of assessment? That's the question. So what should you do now? You have to move to section 19, subsection 29 for this problem to solve. So let us see what is said in section 19, subsection 29. Where an SSC, not being an SSC, engaged in real estate business during an income year. So you must remember that this person is not a real estate businessman. That is, he does not have the business in real estate. Professionally, he is not a real estate businessman. Rather, he is an individual and he has built the building for his own use, or maybe he will let it out, but this is not a business that he will sell the apartments to others and that is his regular business. No. So while constructing the building, he bought some raw materials, that is building materials, for taka 40 lakhs, which has remained unpaid for the last 3 years. That is the problem. Now, after 3 years, what would be the action of the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes with regard to this amount? So what this section says, where an SSC, not being an SSC, engaged in real estate business during an income year, purchases on credit any material for the purpose of construction of building or house property or its unit and fails to pay the sum or any part thereof representing the liability in respect of such purchase, the sum or any part thereof which has not been paid within 2 years from the end of the income year in which the purchase was made shall be deemed to be the income of the SSC for the income year immediately following the expiry of the said 2 years and be classifiable under the head income from other sources. So it has remained unpaid for 3 years, but the section says that it is, if it is unpaid for 2 years, then it would be treated as income of the SC for the income year immediately following the expiry of the said 2 years and be classifiable under the head income from other sources. So this 40 lakh taka has remained unpaid for 3 years. So after 2 years, maybe assessment was not completed that time. So now it has come to the notice of the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes. Now, when the assessment will be made, he will calculate the period when it was supposed to be paid off by the SSC. The SSC was supposed to pay it off after 2 years or within 2 years from the end of the year in which purchase was made. Let us suppose that the purchase was made in income year 17-18. 17-18, it should have been paid off by the year 18-19, 19-20. So by June 20, 2020, it should have been paid off. If not paid off, then 2021, that is the income year, in which it would be treated as income from other source. So when assessment would be made for the assessment year 21-22, in that assessment year, the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes would treat this figure as income from other source under section 33, read with section 1929. Is it okay or not?
Okay, sir.
Good. Then move to question number 13. ABC company borrowed money from a commercial bank amounting to taka 50,000 at an interest rate of 5%. The interest was not paid by the company and it was shown in the balance sheet as outstanding liability, which is owed as 4 years. How the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes would treat it? There is an individual, he borrowed money from the commercial bank, which amounted to taka 50,000. It's a small figure, not a very big figure, but still then it was a borrowing on the part of the individual. And interest was being charged at the rate of 5% by the bank. So every year, the bank charged 2,500 taka.
Sir, I have a question on number 12.
Yes.
May I ask?
Yeah, yeah.
Sir, DCT will charge will consider the full amount as a income from other sources. And
Yeah.
how would be the fourth year? How would be the amount on fourth year?
Once full amount has been taxed by the DCT, then there is no question of taxing this amount in any other year. So what is said here is that the unpaid amount, if the amount has remained unpaid for 2 years, so the full amount, that is 40 lakhs taka, had remained unpaid for 2 years. More than 2 years, it is 3 years, but assessment was not made that year. So that's why when assessment would be made, when the DCT sees that that amount of taka 40 lakh has not been paid within 2 years from the end of the year in which purchase of construction materials was made. So I gave you an example that the SSC purchased the construction materials during the income year, that is 2017-2018. So 30th day of June 2018 is the last day of the income year. Okay, so purchase was made during that year, income year. So from the end of the income year, that is 30th day of June 2018, this amount was not paid off over the next 2 years. That means from 18 to 19 and 19 to 20, up to the 30th day of June 2020, that amount of taka 40 lakh was not paid off. So during the income year 2021, that means July 20 to June 21, that is the income year. For that income year, this will be treated as income from other source, and assessment would be completed for the assessment year 21-22. So the full amount of money, that is 40 lakhs taka, will be assessed to tax. This is the unpaid amount. But had he paid part of it, say for example, 20 lakhs taka was paid, but 20 lakhs taka was not paid. So DCT would have assessed 20 lakhs taka under that section, under section 33.
Got it, sir. Sir, if we don't pay the amount till fourth year, I'm asking, I'm telling about 2022 to 23. If he remain unpaid, if the full amount is unpaid, what would be the assessment on fourth year?
Fourth year does not come into question, because if you have paid off the amount, then this question does not arise. But whenever you have not paid off the amount within 2 years from the end of the year in which purchase was made, then it will be taken into account. But if you think that it was not considered by the DCT in the previous year, but in the fourth year it has come to his notice, then what you would do, you would reopen the case. Reopen the case means the relevant assessment year, he has to reopen. Relevant assessment year means assessment was, say, for example, assessment was completed for 21-22, but this amount was not taken into account. So DCT has to reopen that assessment. That means he has to reassess. He has to make an assessment further for the same income year. And taka 40 lakhs would have to be charged to tax or assessed to tax under section 33. So that's the treatment. But fourth year, do you have any confusion with regard to fourth year?
No, sir. Now there is no confusion.
Fourth year does not matter. You just look into it, whether it has been paid off within 2 years' time or not. If it has not been paid within 2 years' time, then it will be assessed to tax. So the unpaid amount only. If it is 40 lakhs taka unpaid, then 40 lakhs taka. If it is 10 lakhs taka unpaid, then 10 lakhs taka. So that's the consideration. Fourth year does not matter. If you have already considered 10 lakh taka or 40 lakhs taka, whatever it is, you have to consider it just counting the years. 2 years, within 2 years from the end of the income year in which it was paid, it was purchased, and if it is not paid off within the 2 years time, then the following year you have to assess it to tax. That's the question. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So question 13 we were discussing, that is a person borrowed money from a commercial bank amounting to taka 50,000. And interest was being charged at the rate of 5% each year. That means 2,500 taka the bank was charging as interest. Interest was not paid by the company and it was shown in the balance sheet as outstanding liability, which is as old as 4 years. So the company did not pay off the liability, although it was shown in the balance sheet as an outstanding liability. Now, how the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes would treat it, that is the question. And you have to go through section 19, subsection 15, and clause C. So what is said there? Section 19, subsection 15, and clause C. You see page number 53. Such trading liability or portion thereof as has not been paid within 3 years of the expiration of the income year in which deduction was made in respect of that liability. Such liability or portion, as the case may be, shall be deemed to be the income of the assessee from business or profession during the income year immediately following the expiry of the said 3 years. So here, the person or the company, it has to pay it off within 3 years' time, within 3 years of the expiration of the income year. That is, from the end of the income year, it is to be paid off within 3 years' time. So this amount, that is 50,000 taka, whatever he borrowed, that is his trading liability, and he did not pay it off. And during the 3 years' time, it has been found out by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes that that amount was not paid off, and hence the amount was being shown in the balance sheet as it was shown before. So When 3 years expire from the end of the income year, it would be treated as income from business or profession the following year. That is, after 3 years, the following year, it would be treated as income from business. So income from business means under section 28, of course, but you have to refer to section 1915C. That has to be referred to, and the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes would definitely refer it to this section. Okay. But if you pay it off sometimes, sometimes in a subsequent year, say for example, after 6 years, you paid it off. So when document will be produced by you before the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, then it should be deducted from your business income. So you will get the benefit out of that. Then you can move to question 14. The person has let out his shop to a trader at a monthly rent of Taka 50,000. The lease agreement has been signed for a period of 5 years. After the agreement was signed, a salami of Taka 10 lakh was given by the tenant to the owner of this shop. What would be the treatment of salami money from the viewpoint of income tax? So a person, that means an individual, he let out his shop to a trader at a monthly rent of Taka 50,000. So if the monthly rent is Taka 50,000, it means that the annual value of the shop would be 6 lakhs Taka. And the lease agreement has been signed for a period of 5 years. And after the agreement was signed, the tenant, he paid Taka 10 lakh to the owner of the shop, that is the landlord. And what would be the treatment of this Taka 10 lakh by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes? So this is a salami money in addition to the annual value of the shop or property. So this money has to be treated by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes as income from other source under section 33. But you have to consult section 19, subsection 9. So what is said in section 19, subsection 9? So this amount of money, it has been said when salami money is received or premium money is received by an SSC from the tenant, it would be treated as income from other source by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes. But the SSC can apply to the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes or gives an option as to the allocate the amount of money over the entire period of the lease. That means your lease period is 5 years. So you can say that this amount, 10 lakhs Taka, should be spread or should be allotted or allocated over the entire period of the lease. That means 5 years. So if it is allocated over the entire period of the lease, it means that Taka 2 lakh Taka, Taka 2 lakh would be assessed to tax each year. So 10 lakh Taka would be assessed over the period of 5 years. So your burden of tax will be a little bit light. But if you do not apply for that, in that case, the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes would assess the full amount of money, that is Taka 10 lakh, in 1 year. So if he assessed to tax the full amount of money, that would be a little bit burdensome on your part. But here the question is, this amount cannot be allocated over a period more than 5 years. So if your entire lease period is for 6 years, this amount cannot be allocated over the 6-year period, because the limitation is that this amount could be allocated over a period of 5 years only maximum. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. So you can consult section 19, subsection 9. Okay. Then come to section 15. Question 15. A house property was constructed with the help of borrowed money from a bank. During the time of construction, interest accrued amounting to taka 6 lakhs. But the property generated no income during the construction period of 3 years. So how this accrued interest would be treated under the Income Tax Ordinance 1984, meaning that the construction period actually lasted for 3 years. And during that period, there was no generation of income. That means you could not let out the property to anybody because construction was not complete. But you borrowed money from the bank or House Building Finance Corporation, whatever it is. And because of the borrowed money, the bank or House Building Finance Corporation charged interest. And you could not pay it off because you did not have any income. So what shall you do with that? And what is the treatment to be made by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes? So this is also important. Sometimes you may face such a problem, and you have to consult section 25, subsection 1, clause G. That means GG. What is said there? In section 25, all the deductions are mentioned. What are the deductions to be made from the house property income? House property incomes means annual value of the house property. That means in order to calculate income from the house property, you are entitled to having some deductions under section 25. And the income would be calculated under section 24. That is house property income under section 24. Now, what is said under section 25, subsection 1, G? The answer to this question lies there. So G clause, here you can consult it, where the property has been constructed with borrowed capital from bank or financial institution, and no income under section 24 as earned from that property during the period of such construction. Interest payable during that period on such capital in 3 equal proportionate installments for subsequent first 3 years for which income is accessible from that property. So it means that when the construction is complete and the property is let out, during the first 3 years of assessment, the interest payable by the assessee, which was not paid by him earlier during the construction period, would be proportionately allowed. So 6 lakhs taka was payable by him during the 3 years. And this 6 lakhs taka has to be allocated over the first 3 years of assessment. So 2 lakh taka each year. You will be allowed to have a deduction of taka 2 lakh while calculating income from the house property. And 6 lakh taka will be deducted during the first 3 years of assessment. So it means that the payable amount during the construction period 6 lakh taka would be deducted within 3 years time, but each year's interest will be deducted along with that. That means if we know that 2 lakh is charged every year, so out of 6 lakh taka which was not paid, 2 lakh taka during the first year of assessment would be deducted along with 2 lakh which is due for that year. So regular interest for that year plus the unpaid interest of the previous year. Those two figures would be deducted while calculating the income from house property. Is it clear?
Sir, only interest money.
Only interest, yes. Because capital repayment, that is not deductible. So interest is deductible from the income of the house property. Income means annual value of the house property. Capital cannot be deducted. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All right. Then let us see. Question number 16. 2 horses have been used by the business for carrying the merchandise from one place to another place. They were bought at taka 10 lakh. After a few years, they died, and the carcasses have been sold out for taka 50,000. How the loss would be treated under the income tax ordinance 1984 for the purpose of income tax? That means the business was having 2 horses for carrying merchandise from one place to another place, mainly in the rural area or at the Upajala level. So sometimes horses are used for carrying merchandise, but nowadays it is not that much available because vehicles are flying from one place to another place. So that's why horses are not actually needed. But sometimes you will find in the very rural areas, intense rural areas, that horses are used. So that businessman, he was actually using 2 horses, and the horses were bought at 10 lakh taka. But after a few years, they died, and the carcasses have been sold out for taka 50,000. That means the dead bodies were sold out for 50,000. So how the loss would be treated under income tax ordinance 1984? You have to consult the relevant section here. So you have to consult 29, section 29, subsection 1 and clause 12, Roman 12. In the case of any animal which has been used by the SSC for the purpose of business or profession, otherwise than as stock in trade, has died or become permanently useless for such purpose, an amount equivalent to the difference between the original cost of the animal to the SSC and the sum, if any, realized by sale or other disposition of the carcass, as the case may be, of the animal. So the original cost is taka 10 lakh, and the value of the carcass, that is the sale proceed of the carcasses, that was taka 50,000. So difference between the two is 9 lakh 50,000. So sale proceed and the cost of acquisition of the horses. So difference money is 9,50,000. Hence, this difference money would be treated as loss. That is the expenditure. It will be treated as an expenditure, allowable expenditure under section 29(1) Roman 12. 9,50,000 would be charged in the profit and loss account as loss. That would be accepted by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes while calculating the assessment. Okay, then question 17. This is a company has got trading liability of 50 lakhs, which has been lying unpaid for 4 years. What is the provision with regard to treatment of this unpaid trading liability? Under which section it would be treated by the DCT? If part of this trading liability paid off by the company in the 6th year, what will be the treatment of this payment? We have already discussed some of such issues. You have to consult section 19, subsection 15, and clause C. So if you consult that, you will find the result. That is the answer to that question. And question number 18, whether simply analysis of accretion sufficient to arrive at a decision regarding change in asset or fund? If not, why is it not sufficient? So analysis of accretion. Accretion with regard to what? Your net assets or net wealth. So generally, an individual is supposed to submit a wealth statement or a statement of assets and liabilities. Then you have to show the assets, you have to show the liabilities. So difference between the two is called net asset or net worth or net wealth. So accretion means how to arrive at the accretion. Accretion means you have to calculate the net wealth of the previous year and you have to calculate the net wealth of this year. So the difference between the two would be treated as accretion. If the net wealth of this year is higher than that of the previous year, it means that you have got an accretion. The accretion means there is an increase. So if there is an increase in net assets, whether this is sufficient to arrive at a decision regarding the change in asset or fund, whether accretion means everything, that increase has taken place in the net assets or not. Accretion, overall accretion. So this is not actually sufficient to arrive at a decision with regard to the change in asset or fund. Why not? Because you have to take into account individual assets, the value of the individual asset. What was the value of that asset in the previous year and what is the value of that asset this year? So if you find out the difference between the two, then you can arrive at a decision whether this asset, this particular asset has increased or not. So you have to look at individual assets, not overall assets. If you look at the overall assets at a time, then you may not come to a correct decision. So that is what is said here. And question 19, what is intangible asset? Intangible addition, sorry. And how decision could be made with regard to the estimate of sale, reconstruction of sale, and determining inflation in the purchase. So generally, what is an intangible addition? Have you heard of it? Intangible addition by your regular teacher?
Yes, sir.
So what is intangible addition?
স্যার বাংলা যেটা আমরা বলি মানে ব্যবসার সুনাম
No. That is not shunam. That is goodwill.
Goodwill, sir. Yes.
I haven't asked about goodwill. I have said about intangible addition, not shunam. Intangible addition is osparshaniya sanjukti. So this is actually difference between the shown gross profit and the calculated gross profit by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes. So if the calculated gross profit is higher than the shown gross profit by the SSC, in that case, it becomes an intangible addition. Okay. So how decision could be made with regard to the estimate of sale, reconstruction of sale, and determining inflation in the purchase? Very shortly, there is no time now to discuss. So very shortly, what I can say is that when books of accounts have not been maintained by the SSC, or the statement made by the SSC is not supported by vouchers and evidences, etc., in that case, sale could be estimated. That means the shown version could be rejected and the city can estimate the sale. So in the absence of books of accounts, it is possible. But when reconstruction of sale takes place, it means that books of accounts have been maintained, but you have to consider the trading account. In the trading account, the purchase is vouched and verifiable. The stock book has been maintained. That means opening stock and closing stock, those are correct and complete. And sales book has also been maintained, but it is not supported by vouchers in full. So 100% vouchers are not maintained. So what the DCT can do? DCT can reconstruct the sale. How to reconstruct the sale? You have to find out the cost of goods sold. When you can find out the cost of goods sold, you can calculate the reconstructed sale. How to do that? So for example, the GP has been shown at 20%, but since the sales are not fully vouched and verifiable, in that case, you can arrive at a decision that the GP could have been a little bit higher. So for example, the GP could have been 25%. In that case, what will you do? So for example, the sale has been shown at taka 100 and shown GP is taka 20. So cost of goods sold is 80. And if you think that your GP should have been 25%, in that case, you divide this 80 taka by 75%. So if you divide this 80 taka by 75%, you will find a new figure. And that new figure would be maybe 107. Sale would be 107. So now the earlier sale was 100. Now the sale is 107. So difference between the two is taka 7. So that taka 7 would be added to profit. That is reconstructed sale. That is 107 taka would be treated as reconstructed sale. And then determining inflation in the purchase. Sometimes purchases are not supported by full vouchers. The sale is okay. Sale is vouched and verifiable. Inventory has been vouched and verifiable. So purchase is not vouched and verifiable fully. So if you say like that, that purchase is not fully vouched and verifiable, in that case, you can think of inflation. That means the purchase has been shown at a higher figure. So why purchase should be shown at a higher figure? It's because of the reason that if the purchase price is shown at a higher figure, the gross profit would be a little bit less. So if the GP is less, it means that tax has to be calculated a little bit low because of the low profit. So in that case, you can determine an inflation. Inflation means the purchase has been shown at a higher figure. So you can reduce the purchase by an amount, estimated amount, that is say 10% or 5%, whatever it is. So if the sale is 100 taka, you can say that, okay, because of the inflation, I would estimate 10% to be deducted from this purchase. So purchase will be deducted by 10%. It means that the profit, the gross profit would be calculated at a higher figure. So if gross profit is calculated at a higher figure, it means that the tax would be higher. So that is about the inflation. Next. Question 20. Under which circumstances wealth statement should be submitted by an individual assessee? whether Deputy Commissioner of Taxes can ask for wealth statement or statement of expenditure from those who are not supposed to submit those. So these statement of assets and liabilities or wealth statement, it is to be submitted by the SSC when gross wealth of the SSC exceeds 40 lakh taka. So if gross wealth exceeds 40 lakh taka, in that case, the SSC has to submit the wealth statement. And whenever the income of the SSC exceeds 4 lakh taka, in that case, he has to submit the statement of expenditure. The Deputy Commissioner of Taxes would issue a notice under Section 80 whenever a wealth statement is supposed to be submitted by you. But if you are not required to submit a wealth statement, you can also submit the wealth statement voluntarily. So there is an option. It depends on the SSC. If you think that, okay, I will submit the wealth statement, although I am not mandatorily required to submit the wealth statement, you can still do that. There is no problem. So yes, the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes can also ask for submission of the wealth statement or statement of expenditure, although you are not mandatorily required to do that. That is also possible. Because if there is an information to the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes that you have got a property which is not reflected in the wealth statement, then he can ask for the wealth statement to be submitted by you under Section 80. He can issue a notice under Section 80 and ask you to submit the wealth statement. So that is the answer. And we believe that we have answered all the questions here. If you have understood all those, fine. If not, then you can ask me in the next class if you want to. Okay. Anything to ask?
Sir, I have some problem with the question number 10, sir.
Question number 10. What is that?
Sir, the confusion arises with a scrap value. Sir, I understood till the business profit amount.
Yes, the scrap value.
Scrap value. Yes.
In the question, it is not mentioned, but I actually wanted to give you some more problem with scrap value. So what do you have to do? It's almost
I have deducted from the written down value, and the business profit became 3 lakh. And how it would be a capital gain? What would be the amount of capital gain in this case?
Okay, what is your total profit? Total profit would be your 10 lakh taka minus 6 lakh taka, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So your total profit is 4 lakh.
4 lakh, yes.
Okay, but your scrap value is 1 lakh. You have received 1 lakh taka by selling the scraps. What is said in this section? It is said in the section that so much of the excess means the difference between 10 lakh and 6 lakh, 4 lakh. So much of the excess which does not exceed the difference between the original cost and the written down value, less the scrap value. So written down value is 6 lakh, scrap value is 1 lakh. So you deduct 1 lakh from 6 lakh, which is 5 lakh.
5 lakh.
And 5 lakh and original cost means 8 lakh.
Yes.
Difference between these two is 3 lakh.
3 lakh.
5 lakh and 8 lakh. So up to 3 lakh would be your business profit. Yes, and your total profit is 4 lakh. So the remaining amount of 1 lakh, that would be treated as capital gain under Section 31.
Got it, sir.
Is it okay?
Yes, sir. It is okay now.
Okay. Thank you. All right, then we can stop here for the day. Maybe in the next class we meet together again. Thank you.
Of course, sir. Thank you, sir.